Hey, what's up guys? My name is Anand and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 uncommon or pretty much like non-traditional unique strategies for Google Ads campaign optimization. Now, these are not your typical recommendation of, maximizing your headlines, changing bidding strategy or using negative keywords. I've tried to figure out, what can I share that will be unique in terms of your advertising strategy, and that will truly make an impact. So these are literally uncommon tactics, and I hope you enjoy this video. So let's get started. All right, the first one is engineer your campaigns for AI mode query capture. Now obviously what's happening is I did want to quickly touch base on this before I talk about the other stuff. As you know, AI mode is increasing day by day, and AI overviews is basically going to consume a lot of the search engine results page, right? So the idea here is to craft long form remarketing search ad headlines, so that way it will naturally become a part of AI mode, right? So the tactic here is create Gemini assisted headlines that mirror multi-part questions. Now, why this is important? It will help you make your ads eligible for conversational queries, right? So a lot of times you will notice that the typical search query will include like a medium tail or short tail keywords. But when it comes to conversational query, try to make sure that not only organic links shows up, but your ads are crafted in such a way that it shows up in like conversational queries as well. So that's the idea in terms of crafting long form remarketing search ads, right? To complement that, you need to also implement search terms in Performance Max campaign. Now, I've seen, some of the, ad accounts having more than like, I think 50 search terms. So Google has recently introduced that. So take advantage of adding those search terms, which will give you additional context to guide the model towards, user intent and appearing in AI mode conversations. And thirdly, try to build answer style assets. And the most important one is develop FAQ site links. It can be, just as simple as frequently asked question, or what's the pricing, or how much does it cost, when are you available, what's the opening hours. Like these are all like your site link headlines, and then you also have like site link description, and then it will basically take you to the FAQ page, pricing page, contact page, something like that, right? So try to build answer style assets. An example I already gave is maybe a local orthodontist creates like headlines that answer, how long, cost, no interest plan, weekend hours. Like these are all examples of how you can create, site links. All right, so that's your AI mode and answer engine optimization. The next one is how can you master like demand generation with surgical channel control. So this is where, the idea is you create short form video clusters. Now, a lot of people focus mainly on like image ads, but the point here is to take advantage of YouTube Shorts, Discover, Gmail, and Display, right? So that's where your demand generation comes into play for a new brand who's trying to establish presence on the internet. And the point here is to create like 6-second, 15-second, 30-second vertical videos optimized for shots, and then create like image variants for Gmail and Discover. You can even apply like channel controls. And then the best part, which I have personally like, experimented on, is create like short, inexpensive videos, pre-test it, see like how the retention goes, and then once you figure out a winning video or a hook, or maybe even like a theme, you then create an expanded version of that and maybe even use that for your advertising, right? So use inexpensive view rate screeners to identify winners before scaling in demand gen campaign. That's a really good way of like testing it and then like scaling it using demand gen. All right, the next one is Performance Max signals. And this is the keyword thing that I was talking about, but it goes beyond that so that you can engineer for profit and loyalty. So I mentioned about keywords in as a part of signals, but you can actually customize your feed. So let's say you are a brand who sells products, right? Now, in this case, your products can be anything on Shopify, or it can be on BigCommerce or any other platform. The point here is to optimize for feed, where you create custom labels for margins, stocks, and shipping speed, and even seasonality. So that way you have a dedicated product feed based on profit margin, and then let the algorithm push towards like high value products, right? That's the point of feed optimization. On the other hand, you also have loyalty optimization or loyalty integration, where you have created an active loyalty based annotation and member only pricing, right? It can be members only feed, like these are all the customers, or these are all the products that's only for members, for example, right? And then you can show personalized benefits across free plus paid listing. And this actually helps to not only win back like old customers, but retain existing customers. So an example is a footwear retailer labels boots with higher margin tier, uses target return on ad spend to maximize conversion value. And it can exclude like branded terms in PMax while running search brands separately. So that's the idea behind profit and loyalty, where you use feed optimization and then you use loyalty integration. It's not loyalty feed optimization, it's loyalty integration. Like you're taking um, advantage of your existing customer database that feeds into or integrates into your different feeds and performance max campaign that you're running. All right, build a resilient consent first plus service side measurement stack. I know that's a handful, but now you're getting away from Google's performance max livers. Now you're talking about something that's going to enhance your tech stack. Let's start with consent mode v2. Now this is important because, as you know, first party cookie, third party cookie, all of this is you know impacting how you are able to retarget. Now with consent mode 2, you without it you will basically fall back to like non-personalized modeling, which will impact your performance a lot. um, I highly recommend using server-side tagging. uh, Google Tag Manager actually has server-side tags that you can create that will reduce like data loss from blockers and improve control or what you send to vendors, right? There's a new thing that Google has launched. It's called a tag gateway. If you're using any kind of CDN like Cloudflare, this will actually help you to improve your overall identification of users and tags and how it gets fired. So tag gateway is something helpful if you're a big brand, and if you're basically running any type of ad campaign that depends on a CDN. Um, in terms of quick setup priorities, implement, I would say, consent mode, as you can see, deploy Google Tag Manager server side or tag gateway, and then set up enhanced conversion. Enhanced conversion is basically, let's say, ads. A simple example is you're running ad campaign, you're driving traffic to a page, it has a form, and someone fills out a form. It's going to take into consideration the fields that a user is filling, like first name, last name, email, and then it's going to try to identify and do a match, right? So that's why I've specifically mentioned that it's for leads, and that's super helpful. All right, deploy predictive audiences that actually move your return on ad spend. So if you don't know about this, Google Analytics already has this functionality. That's why GA4 I mentioned over here. There's something called as predictive audiences. It's basically trying to predict who is going to churn, who's more likely to convert. It has a bunch of different like predefined templates, right? You basically use those audiences, you sync it back to Google Ads, and then you run ads on them, right? So an example is build a 7-day likely purchaser based on GA4 audience, and you need to make sure that you link your Google Ads and Google Analytics 4 account, and then you can seed your Performance Max campaign with these audiences, right? So basically you create a likely to churn segment for win back creatives. That's an awesome tactic. So this is more about taking advantage of your Google Analytics 4 account and make use of the predictive audiences. All right. In terms of how you can take advantage of this entire ecosystem for B2B, you can actually make use of your CRM. And the way you do that is you connect your CRM with your Google Ads account. So simple example is you can use Google's data manager or its API to connect to like your sales qualified leads, opportunities and won deals back to your Google Ads account, so that your algorithm, which is your performance max algorithm, optimizes for higher quality leads. And you can use like any major CRM these days, from I don't know, from Salesforce to HubSpot to pretty much any CRM. You can even do offline. I think it's called offline conversion tracking, and you can set up Zapier that syncs those leads back into a Google Ads account, right? So you make use of CRM so that way you're passing the data back into Google Ads for optimization. And the point here is to import high value conversions. So you only import conversions at sales qualified or later stages. So that way your ads are not optimized for like cold leads or subscribers. And then you eliminate like micro goals. Obviously turn off page views and engagement that confuse smart bidding, right? So that's your layers of um, data that will be applicable for B2B. Now, why is this important? An example is a SaaS company maps demo booked is equal to $200, sales qualified lead is worth $1,200, and closed one is like 12,000. Then bids to max conversion value with target return on ad spend calibrated to their payback period. So, obviously, if you target, if you're maximizing conversion value for like close one, you're obviously targeting, leads that are more likely to, convert. So that's the idea behind this. Obviously, I touched base on consent mode, but cookieless remarketing strategy is very important. And the point here is you are actually creating your own audiences, right? And again, the idea here is to enrich your first party audiences. Like for example, site sign-ins, loyalty programs, email subscribers via customer match. And you're building your own audiences for remarketing and sync those ad audiences back into Google Ads. And this strategy is not just applicable for Google Ads. You can actually sync it back to Meta, LinkedIn, Microsoft as well. So that's your cookieless remarketing strategy. Finally, what I would suggest is implement marketing mix model that is testing and that's based on experiments. So in Google Ads, you can actually run multiple experiments to identify not just from which audience to which asset is working well. You are able to A/B test at scale and test the winning combination and go from there. So that's the idea behind this. And finally, what I would suggest is make use of AI for creative. There are a bunch of tools out there from Google Nano, Banana that was really released like recently for image editing. You can use Gemini VO for video creation and generate like different types of assets at scale. And then, as I mentioned earlier, pre-test for efficiency and then scale the winners. So those are like the big uncommon tactics I wanted to share. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Thank you.